Alright. Calf. Hello and welcome to Depths of Gaming, episode the 20th.
Greetings, comrades! How are you?
Yes. All 0 of you. Fantastic. Right, so we are going to dive right into the news.
Ah. What do we have for today, Necro?
Well, originally we were going to just jump right into Stellaris news. However, there's other Stellaris-related news this week.
Oh, so our Stellaris segment is growing.
Yes, we have a diverse Stellaris segment this time.
Due to popular demand, I hope.
Oh yes, very popular demand. So the game developer, designer, whatever the hell he calls himself, head game person, chiefy thing, Wiz, Martin Anward, has his own theory of why people have been complaining about the voiceovers that were previewed a week ago. He has his own theory.
Mm-hmm. And what theory is that?
We're all misogynists.
Like Paul Feig, I believe, with the Ghostbusters.
Yeah, just here's the thing: is if
you don't like it, you're a misogynist.
A lot of people came on the forums, the Twitters, all that, and they had a lot of problems with it, but specifically they were saying stuff, oh, it's so typical, or stuff like that. However, the militarist voiceover is a Roman line. It's cry havoc and let slip the dogs of war. And that would be great if this game was Europa Universalis or something like that. This is Stellaris. We're in space.
Yes. What are the dogs of war in space?
Why do aliens know what the dogs of war are? Does every alien race have dogs? Are dogs like omnipresent in the universe? I guess. I'm very confused about this concept. And
I have the idea that it's kind of like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Like the dolphins are like aliens that just come to this planet just to get some fish.
You know what? That must be it. Is that this voiceover is actually foreshadowing, and it explains how in the next patch it's going to be a battle against the robots and the dogs.
Yes. Furries versus robots.
No, not furries. Literal dogs.
There are fox people.
There are fox people, and there are already like dog people, but I mean like literally like dogs.
Yeah.
But yeah, he when his first salvo is he goes here. It might help if I actually have a blew up version to look at instead of trying to read it off of the streaming window. It's let's just say that having some men on the internet being upset about an aggressive sounding woman was not an unexpected development. And of course, there's like 20 posts of people going, what the fuck are you talking about, Wiz?
Yeah, this is the syndrome of the extreme feminism. You want to see misogyny, you will find misogyny.
Oh, we haven't even got to that
part
yet.
Not because it's there, but because you want it to be there.
We haven't even got to that yet, because then after like 10 or 20 posts of people going, what the hell are you talking about? Wiz suddenly goes, probably. I'm still right, though. I'm like, you didn't cite any reason or proof that you're right, so that's actually a false claim. Next, I don't think there's ever been a complaint, at least not here on Reddit, and he claims there has. Besides, though, we had a discussion while recording on how aggressive female voices will be called crazy or overacting, because that literally always happens, regardless of context. So it's interesting to see just how much of the criticism has focused on that, with zero self-reflection on how a male voice with similar tone and style would get a pass. Bullshit! It's amazingly predictable as the offended self-righteousness upon pointing it out. Bullshit! I'm sorry, I coughed while I was saying bullshit. Let's talk about this for a while, because he's effectively saying that he had a discussion in the voice booth about how he knew this would happen, and instead of writing his course or doing anything differently, he just lets it happen. That's what we're supposed to expect.
Why not give the player a choice between a male who says the same line and a female who says the same line? Yes? No? Maybe?
Well,
that would be fun.
They said... Now, here's the thing, is Paradox is really terrible at communication. In the dev diary that they announced it, they only talked about the process of making VO. They didn't talk about the feature at all. Mm-hmm. And then of course everyone's panicking in that forum post, going, "You did so? Are we going to be forced with this?" And then Wiz comes in like a douchebag and goes, "Didn't you know you're able to just like pick what you want?" God.
Well, no. How the fuck am I supposed to know?
And
God fucking damn it.
Here's the thing about Wiz is here's the key thing about talking with Martin Antword is you're wrong, he's right, no matter what. That's how all communication with Martin Antword exists.
It's so difficult to imagine a person,
and I'm not, and it lets, now here's the thing, is it's very tempting to write me off and go, well, you're just assuming that, aren't you? Like, how much have you really listened to Martin Antword? More than you think. Because here's the thing, is I watched, like, all of the pre-release game footage. Because remember...
Like, all of it?
All of it.
All of it?
All 6 hours of it. I have listened to this guy talk more than people listen to themselves talk. And this guy loves to talk.
Okay.
So, believe me when I say this guy never listens to anyone else's opinion.
Well, it's not his job to listen to opinions.
No, it's his job to tell you his opinion. That's his job.
Yeah, that's not just to tell his opinion, but to also give commands, right? Because I'm assuming, is the head developer. So
here's the thing: he did this passive-aggressive tweet where he was like, "God, people always get my title wrong. I'm the game designer, not the game lead."
Oh,
like, isn't that the same thing? I guess not.
It might not be.
Thank you for pointing that out, I guess, Wiz. But that's what I mean, is this guy believes in telepathy. He legitimately does, because half of what he says is telepathic, and you don't get it. Because he's as he's talking to you, he is transmitting brainwaves that don't actually get transferred through the computer. Yeah,
there are... Actually, there are shows out there on YouTube where you listen to people talk. A new topic will come up, and then they will say, "For those of you who don't know, this is what this and this means," right? People say that, right?
Yeah.
And he apparently doesn't get the idea that there might be people who do not know about one thing or another. For example, we don't know how the internal structure of the Paradox games
at all
is formulated, so we don't know what's the difference between the main designer and main lead, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming that the designer is because he is in charge of how the game looks like and feels like, while the lead will be more in charge of the finalized product.
The thing is, Wiz talks like he is the game, like he is the maker of the game. He talks like he's the only person that makes this game. So of course we're going to not know what he actually the structure of this thing because it's confusing. And it's, I don't know. It's interesting, but here's the thing: is he says more.
Oh, there's more.
There's more.
Please.
To be clear, what I'm saying is not that the Militaris VO is perfect and beyond all critique. What I'm saying is that we had a script. I'm gonna pause it.
Oh, no.
You had a script for this? Like, I'm not mocking you as if I'm surprised there's a script, but I'm going, this was on the script? Someone okayed this? No one... You showed this to people, and no one asked any questions whatsoever.
To be fair, what kind of questions would they ask?
Why do space people know what the Dogs of War are?
Oh, that, yeah.
I think that's a legitimate question.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure about that. However, you have to realize that these people are pretty firmly seated in the historical side of games, so they might just assume that, oh yeah, the Dogs of War, yeah, whatever, right? Because they don't care about what aliens.
I think you just hit the nail on the head. It's
because they might not actually care about what aliens might say or do.
My personal theory is that they wrote this to be a Europa Universalis pack, and then the script got mailed to Wiz, and he went, "We'll use it."
Yeah, pretty much. a case of misplaced memo.
And but anyways, we had a script for the Militaris VO that called for a more crazy approach, and we picked the actor after auditioning both male and female voices, because of course we can't just assume that they had a proper auditioning process. We have to painfully state that there was.
Yeah, because I just wonder if back in my head, have they hired that voice actor based on her actual acting chops, or based on whether or not she has a vagina?
I am not entirely certain, because
in today's day and age, you can't be sure of that, right?
The quote goes on. Knowing that picking a male voice... By the way, this guy's comprehension of how to write English is terrible. It's just run on after run on after run on. He abuses the comma.
No, please, mister, please use a period once in a while. No, please.
Periods exist, please, Martin, no. Knowing that picking a male voice would have been a safer bet, no matter the quality of the actor. So it's a bit amusing.
Why don't you pick the best quality of the actor?
Like I said, to see the backlash and the absence of self-distance and self-reflection coming with it. Because we knew this would happen and chose to pay the price.
For fuck's sake, a pot calling kettle black.
I know, because this is everything we make fun of the American Democrats for. It's that they know there's a problem, but because they say, but we really believe in it, we're supposed to just go, oh, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we'll just let you do that. Never mind.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, did you hear what the new American Democrat saying is? It's something like better wages, better living, better life, better something, or it's just better blank, better blank, better blank, better blank.
It brings to mind the Xbox.
No,
like there's this line in black, and then there's a word in green that scrolls over.
Which is funny because the Papa John's phrase is like better pizza, better living. Hence why we're making
plagiarism. Isn't that plagiarism?
well, no, it's not. It's just really hokey. But this is what I'm talking about. It's we're making this stand when there's no stand to be made whatsoever. No one is arguing for what Wiz is saying, except for like one shit poster in the first like 5 pages.
There might be people who take umbrage with that because they don't want to be called misogynists. But
here's the thing: is following up on this is there's this guy named A-Spec who like is in love with Stellaris. He tweets, he YouTubes about every aspect of this game. And even he had something to say about it, and he said the same thing I did, which is, I thought the Dogs of War line was kind of stupid. Well, he didn't say stupid, but I'm paraphrasing there. But he basically said, I'm not so sure about that line.
Yeah. Something along those lines.
But does that mean he's a misogynist? And then there's this other dude in the forums who
because women can do no wrong.
Who
everything that woman does is perfect.
He showed this video to his girlfriend, and the girlfriend messaged him back going, "I thought the Dogs of War line was kind of too barbaric." Does that make her a misogynist?
No. Women can internalize misogyny. They are not misogynists themselves.
So just Wiz has the most strawmanniest argument possible here. And so one more thing, and then we're going to move on to the actual game. And then after 22 pages of a rather civil argument of why Wiz is wrong, I'm serious. That's entirely what it's about. Is they side. Here's the thing: is I usually think of Paradox as a rather fanboy-y community because they all have their lips securely around Martin's penis. But no, they went after his ass completely civilly, though.
That's important.
It was very civil. I read through. I skimmed.
There were no death threats. Well, this is internet, so so civil means there are no death threats.
No death threats.
No Nazis, and there are no what else?
No Nazism. No obvious like. Well, you're just right wing. Well, you're just left wing. None of that. No partisan politics. Just. What he said doesn't register on a common sense level.
And this is why.
Mm-hmm. And so, after all of this, after, like, by the way, 10 pages of him, not saying a thing, he finally goes, I think it's time to close this thread. I will admit my handling of it may not have been the best, but... Now, by the way... Tyrion Lannister's best line in the first 3 series of Game of Thrones was everything you say after but doesn't count. Or no, everything you say before but doesn't count. Well, the actual line's like, in my experience, everything you say before but doesn't count. But either way, that's why I'm saying that is he says he almost apologizes. Almost. But...
And then he says but.
But I stand by what I said. And none of it was, you're all misogynist.
So was there no self-reflection there, Wiz?
None!
None of it? So who's not self-reflecting there? God fucking damn it.
My point is, there's no pervasive attitudes regarding which tones are considered appropriate for women, and men for that matter. Something you have to be aware of when doing VO, and this affects how people react to such a voice in ways they might not be aware of it. He is doubling the fuck down on, I'm not saying you're misogynist, I'm saying you're subconsciously misogynist, and that isn't saying you're a misogynist. And if you think that I'm saying it, you're misinterpreting it. He didn't actually say that, but that's basic. That's paraphrasing. That's what he's saying, because he says if you can't differentiate that from your misogynist, that's your problem. And this is a very common straw man argument. Is you're putting the burden of proof solely on the person to prove you wrong, when how the burden of proof actually works, Wiz, is when you make a claim, you have to actually back it up with evidence, you idiot. Because, keep in mind, Wiz never backs up his points. He just says, this is my reason, I'm right, and you're wrong.
You know why? Because we are dirty peasant gamers, and all we exist to do is to give him money. And what we say, what we do, does not matter.
And the reason he let this forum topic exist for as long as it was, it's because he probably thought they were going to turn around and support and remain seated on his penis, but they didn't ever. Well, actually,
cookwarmers.
Now, to be fair, one guy did, and then another guy shot him right down and went, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! This isn't about the VO. This is about Wiz." And then he went, "Oh yeah, you're right." Okay, moving on.
Yeah, let's move on.
K-Pack patch. Holy shit, is this patch gonna be awesome?
Oh, please tell me how awesome it's going to be.
So, as we all kind of speculated, because the one cool thing about Paradox and how they're handling these patches is because they named the patch after a famous writer, there's a general good idea of what the patch is going to be about. Unless it's Bradbury, in which case they just randomly picked a writer, apparently. So K-Pack is the Czech guy who coined the term robot with his brother in relation to how it's used today.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of big, because the name robot is derived from the Czech word that effectively means slave. Kind of, yeah, that's what it means.
Well, I don't know how...
Robacia, or whatever it is.
I don't know how it's in Czech, but I know that in Polish we have... you can drive a similar thing, and basically robota means work, robotnik means worker, so it's closer to work than it's to a slave.
Well, the actual translation is like worker without pay or something, or autonomous worker or something like that. Like the word robot actually really works. That's why it kind of existed for. It still exists. But so the number one thing they're doing is they're finally fixing the rogue AI Endgame Crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Because as it is implemented, it's super easy to avoid. It never happens. Because all you have to do is play a materialist if you're going to build robots. Because the AI doesn't really build them that often. And and they're typically going to be materialists anyway if they're using them. So there's that. And the way they're fixing it is they're turning it into something called the contingency.
Oh.
The contingency is a Skynet-y, Shodan-y AI that wants to vaporize all living matter.
Oh! The horrors of Shodan!
Yeah, so the first time you meet Contingency, it's just this weak little thing that's grasping for more information. But here's the thing, is they're turning the sentient AI fleet upgrade into a dangerous technology. Which implies that the contingency... And by the way, that's commonly used. Like everyone, because it's so much better than the advanced combat routines. That's like what everyone uses. So they're going a really good way in this. So it's a lot harder to dodge the contingency.
Oh, I see.
A lot harder. Because because you're far more likely to use the sentient AI routines than you are to build synths. Just that's how it is right now. So the theory, which they're very heavily driving home, is that the contingency has the ability of slowly hacking all of the synthetics and sentient AI ships in the universe.
I see.
So over time, he's going to convert ships and people. So I'm quite interested in what they're going to do with that. The other thing they did is they're heavily buffing robotics. Now robotics have their what do you call them? Yeah, robotic organisms are now going to have their own series of traits, and there are going to have more than 11 of them, according to Wiz, because in the in the did I include that? No, I didn't. There were 11 in the teaser, but he said there's more than 11.
Interesting.
And the purpose is going to be just like for normal population traits, is they make them better at things. However, because they're robots and they're made by aliens for purposes, they are far more specialized. So you're able to make them domestic robots. You're able to make them mining robots, that sort of thing.
Interesting.
And keeping in line with the template mechanic that they're rolling out, is you're able to have different robots in your society that do different things. And also the UI is being restructured to make it easier to batch build robots. Because as it is now, it takes a really long time to do that.
Yeah, there's a lot of clicking involved.
A lot of clicking.
Because you have to basically put a robot on every single square, right?
Yeah. What is the other thing? Oh yeah, synthetic hive minds are going to be a thing.
Oh, nice.
Because ever since they rolled out hive minds, people have been badgering them for synthetic versions.
Well, that makes sense, right? Because they are networked. Basically, an internet is a synthetic hive mind.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's how Skynet works. That's how Shodan kind of works.
Well, Shodan is more of an artificial intelligence. Skynet, because there's the word net in it, I'm assuming that it's a network.
Well, the way Skynet works is it's one super powerful AI that slaves over other AIs.
I see.
Because the Terminators all are synthetics in Stellaris terms, but they are slaved to Skynet. Because that's how he takes over.
They have the AI for their own, right? To make autonomous decisions. That's the reason why the Terminator was able to be sent back in time.
Correct.
And make autonomous decisions on his own to fulfill the things. Yeah. Okay.
Because that's the only reason why the Terminators are able to operate back in time. Because Skynet isn't able to give them commands back in time.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's going to be exciting. Now, on to the internet's favorite person, Alex Mauer.
Oh, that guy, gal?
Person?
That person, yeah.
I mean, I'm going to get a lot of hate for that, but this is a confusing situation. It really is. Because here's the thing, is I was okay to stop talking about this person. I was done. But last week, I went to buy a game, and it was unlisted from Steam.
Oh.
And I was kind of confused about this. I didn't look into it any further because I just assumed, well, it was River City Ransom. Maybe they didn't get the right licensing. Maybe it's something with Nintendo. I don't know. So I'm going to just stay out of it. That's not the case.
It
turns out that the music was DMCA'd.
Oh, by Miss Alex Mauer, I'm assuming.
Yeah. How did you know?
Well, that's
I did kind of lead with her name.
Yeah.
But so here's the thing, is she apparently went after every single game she's ever worked on. She went after Adult Swim, she went after these guys, she went after, obviously, Star Mazer. They went after everyone. And it's a really
because that's
move.
how copyright because that's how copyright works, right? Because when you sell your work to someone and you get money for it, you then get to claim that they cannot use it anymore because it's yours.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
that's how it works.
If I make a part for your car and I put it in, and then you disagree with me on something completely different, I don't get to walk over to your car, rip out the part, and then
not just rip out the car,
keep
get the
money.
entire car. Right? Not just the part, the entire car.
She's attacking the music. She's not saying she owns the whole game. She's saying she owns the music.
Yeah, but she's attacking the entire... Well, she's not saying that she's attacking the game, but she's taking down the entire game.
Well, the entire game gets taken down, but it revolves around because it's her music.
Well, yeah, so she's taking the entire game. She's taking down every single YouTuber who ever covered the game. She's taking down basically everyone who ever touched this game and has any form of her music on it.
Well, it's more than that. She's attacking every single person that has ever worked with her.
Oh, and let's not forget about the death threats that she's sending. Well, she's no longer sending because...
Well, she can't do that anymore because it turns out that threatening people's lives is illegal, and a judge had to explain that to her.
Yes. And she's also forbidden by that same court to send any more DMCAs about but only in terms of what was the game called?
Star Mazer.
The Star Mazer, Star Mazer and the Star Mazer DMC or something like that. So yeah, she still can happily DMCA everything else. So yeah, this is bullshit. And the worst part is that the people from River City Ransom, they can't really fight it, because it turns out it costs money, and that they might not have that kind of money to do it.
Well, it's the same reason why our prisons are overpopulated, because it costs more to defend yourself in prison, in court, than it does to just take the plea bargain.
There's also the fact that the entire DMCA system is based around guilty until proven innocent.
Yes, because the burden of proof gets suspiciously shifted. You have to prove that you didn't do anything wrong, instead of they have to prove that you did something wrong.
Yeah, and you can thank the entire music industry for that, because because thanks to their lobby, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act was enacted, and in its provisions it basically states it gives the power to the copyright holder to do whatever the fuck they want with you if you use any of their work, which is bullshit. And it creates that guilty until proven innocent mentality, and this is also the reason why there is so much issues with copyright on YouTube. People are trying to fight against it. YouTube is adamant about fighting against it. However, in order to keep safe harbor, they have to do this weird shit with automatic takedowns, with DMCAs. Even the fact that the copyright holder, the only way they can represent themselves to you if they DMCA you is just an email address. If you want to protect yourself and dispute the DMCA, you have to give them your all your private information about where you live, who you are. So in case of Alex Mauer, for example, that means if Alex Mauer, who is certifiably insane, by the way, if she copyright strikes you, you have to give her your address and your name. And she used that to send death threats to people. The entire DMCA system is bullshit.
Yeah. It's really unfortunate that a person can go crazy and then lash out at people's livelihoods, because these are amateur game developers. They don't, well, except for Adult Swim, they have the money, but they don't care. These are amateurs. They don't have the money. Too. Yeah, the reviewers too. They don't have the money to defend themselves every time someone does this. They have, like River City Ransom was very clear that they don't have the money to fight this, and instead of wasting their contributors' money in this useless legal battle, they're gonna just get more music. Which is funny, because people on their forums like, changing the music won't matter. Like, you idiot! That is exactly what her only excuse, even though she has no legal standing. But she can still use the Digital Millennium Copyright Act to bully and to threaten and to basically destroy anyone she wants, even though she doesn't have the standing to do so. And the worst part is, I can just go out there, claim that you have my music on your channel, and still take your channel down. Because even though I don't produce any music,
but that doesn't matter. I make the claim, and suddenly you're fucked. Sega did the same thing, because I don't remember that correctly, precisely what they were doing, but they were I think they were attacking people on YouTube who had who had let's plays and game reviews of one of their old games, just because when they release a new game from the same series, it would be higher on the listing. That's the only reason why they hit so many people with DMCAs and destroyed so many channels.
Yeah,
because they don't give a fuck that your livelihood is at stake. They have the tools, the corporations have the tools, and they will use them, and they will abuse them.
Oh yeah. That's the thing about capitalism that no one seems to understand yet consciously notes existing.
Yeah.
Is that when you have money, not just in this country, but in this world, you have power. And
pretty much, yeah.
The whole idea behind a corporation is the same idea that a gang or a gaming clan uses, is because there are more of them, they get to pool all of their energy together to make even more power.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, is because our country incentivizes individuality, we are usually just pitted against each other in the most basic 1 versus 1 situation, when really the whole point of a business is to team up.
Mm-hmm.
Yet
against the little guys, yeah, and buy them off, indoctrinate them, and then go after another guy, and then after another.
Well, not necessarily, but just to team up in order to survive.
Yeah. And if you're big enough, you can go to the government and basically make legislations that make the new guys even life for the new guys even more difficult.
Yes.
For example, what's interesting is we've been talking about that last week about the Internet Equality Act, the title to the God damn it! What was it called?
Moving on.
Yeah, basically we were talking about how the ISPs are classified under Title II, and FCC is trying to under the Mr. Maj.
That was last week.
Mr. Ajit Pai, yeah. And the general idea is that Netflix, right? In 2015, when they were a much smaller company than they are now, they adamantly fought against this. But because now the Netflix grew about like 200-300%, they no longer care about this.
Yeah,
because
they don't give a shit because they're rich.
Yeah, because any ransom that ISPs can throw at them, they will be able to pay, and it will not affect them in the slightest. But anyone who's smaller than that will be completely and utterly fucked.
Yeah, it's...
So the bigger you are, the less you care about the little people, right?
Well, that's
which is you and me.
The general idea of playing a tank in a game is you don't care about getting hit because you have either so many hit points or so much armor that it doesn't matter.
Yeah. But this is a tank who's sitting by the side and letting the mages get killed.
Exactly. All that tanking doesn't matter if you're just staring around while all the squishy people get murked.
Mm-hmm. That's basically the situation right now, because it's better for you to sit down on the sidelines and do your business than it is for you to go after protecting others.
Right.
Google was extremely good with that because they actually cared for a long period of time. Their motto was "Do no evil," right? But then they incorporated heavily. They, I believe, a lot of their auctions went off. Their leadership changed, and they even changed their corporate name from Google to Alphabet, I believe.
Satanic.
And
what?
Yeah, Google is just a name of a brand right now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the company is called the Alphabet.
That's kind of terrifying.
Yeah, and they killed the Google Fiber because of that.
We really do need to move on, buddy.
Yeah, I know, but it's pissing me off.
I know, Agit Pie's a dick. We'll talk about it later.
Next week.
Yes, we will. Because I'm sure he's going to say something, oh, I don't care if 10 million people said this. We're going to just do it anyway.
Yeah, it's not how many people say things, but the quality of the things they say.
It's about the quality. I don't care if 10 million people matter. Fucking dick.
Yeah.
Codex Adeptus Astartes is coming.
Oh, yay!
The new Space Marines Codex is coming.
It's available for pre-orders.
Yeah.
Nice.
Pre-order. And so the main deal with the Space Marines Codex is it's going to have a bunch of new Primaris stuff in it that wasn't in the indexes.
Mm-hmm.
And the cool thing is all of the new vehicles and such are going to be in here too. So new dreadnoughts, new tanks, new flyers. Nice. Like I mentioned, like 5 new kinds of Primaris. They're getting a Psyker. They're getting Terminators. They're getting these dudes called Reavers, which are pistol sword light infantry.
Ooh.
And their whole shtick is that they're these just psycho killers that maraud across the battlefield, tying people up in melee and terrifying them.
Oh, I see. That's interesting.
Like they seem to be like the Primaris version of Scout Marines.
Mm-hmm.
Only like turned up to psycho killer time. Only like Friday the 13th level.
So I'm guessing these guys will be the first one to turn to chaos.
Yeah, I'm just saying is I suspect the guys with the skull masks of heresy.
Okay.
So this is a great news if you like the new edition and if you like having Space Marines that are just a bit better than everything else. The Primaris have proven to be the Protoss of Warhammer now. Because you get a lot of high quality units, but there aren't that many of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
They make as great reinforcements for sure.
Basically, they are they. Could you consider them to be shock troopers? Basically.
The Reavers, yeah, they have a shock and awe aspect to them. They have like a rule that inspires terror. And then there's the Inceptors, I believe. The Inceptors were in the index release, and they're the jump marines that are able to just dance out of your melee reach and pepper you with gunfire.
Oh, I see.
So they have a very stormtroopery aspect to them.
So they miss a lot.
Yeah, but you have a lot of bullets going on. Well, I mean more like the Heil is Blitzkrieg.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm just pulling your leg.
Don't pull that leg. Oh. And yeah, the new Dreadnought looks interesting. It looks. I think they listened to the criticisms of the Dreadnought they showed off looking like shit, so they made it look better.
That's good.
So here's an answer nobody wanted.
Ooh.
Playing under the influence.
Oh, influence of what?
They mean drugs.
I see. Well, to the more astute one of you who actually watch our streams, our D&D streams and our Shadowrun streams, you know what we think about that.
They all think I'm a terrorist. So
you said something?
Huh?
You said something?
No. Roy C writes, during your sessions, do you consume alcohol, marijuana, or any other recreational drug affecting your perception or behavior? If so, how does it affect your game? For example, my group often finishes 6 to 12 beers.
Amongst the entire group, that's like 2 beers per person?
That sounds worse than it is. It's 6 people, so realistically they each get like 2 beers. Yeah.
Yeah.
However, they also say that they pass around 3 to 4 giant joints of marijuana during the session. Sometimes it makes me feel more flowing and gets me into the atmosphere, and sometimes makes me feel disconnected and miss what's going on around me. Both are accurate. So how do people feel about handling playing under the influence of recreational substances?
My question is this.
See.
Are you going into the game to basically be transported into another world? Then you can go bong your marijuanas all you want. If you go into the game in order to have fun with your friends, then if your friends do not share in the drugs, then you probably shouldn't as well.
I disagree.
Sure.
Because here's the thing: is I play in a lot of online games, and in many of them, not everyone is okay with the marijuana, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. You don't have to be. But the thing is that it really, a lot of people have this perception of if it's illegal, it's automatically evil. And they seem to also forget that at one time prohibition existed.
Well, listen, I do agree with you that there are people who think that if it's illegal, that means it's evil. But that's not my point. My point is that if you're the only one who's high, then you're basically the only one who's having fun. That's basically where I'm going. Well, as it's stated in the question,
whenever I DM, I'm almost entirely sure that I'm the only one smoking pot. Does that mean that I was the only one having fun for years?
No, let me finish.
Please do.
People, basically, what I meant is that, which you concurred. And what was said in the question is that it makes you less attentive.
That is true.
And that can, that even though other people might have fun, it still decreases. It still takes away from the experience because since you don't, since you're not attentive and you're a DM, that means that we have to kind of do stuff that and not focus on simply enjoying the game, right? However, that also depends on the people, right? Because there are some people who might be completely okay with that and who will have a lot of fun.
Well,
but there
now that
might
we're
be,
talking about how, because so
the rule of thumb is.
Let me discuss this, because this is kind of important. How I DM Walheim. So, it is true. I do delegate a little. I tend to delegate more because I'm kind of focusing on the game itself. But the thing about that is, I've always expected players to take good notes, and and the thing is that some players are under the assumption that a DM's purpose is to know every single rule in the game and talk you through it. And it's true, the DM should have a powerful understanding of the game's rules, but I've broken that rule a lot. And the thing is, in order to start DMing, you have to break that rule, because everyone has a first time.
Yeah, and also there is that thing called the rule of funny, which means that if it's funny, if it's fun, then it's in the game, right? So there's a lot of leeway in terms of having fun during the game time.
Because there are people that jump onto the Reddits and are like, "What is this canon if I did this in my campaign?" And I'm usually thinking to myself, dude, whatever you want, man, you're the DM. Because I remember there was one game where I introduced so there's the first it was Temple of Elemental, it was the Princes of Elemental Evil story arc for 5th edition. Is that in the book they introduced elemental myrmidons, which are armored suits that have an element inside them. And I introduced poison elementals. And that prompted a question to ask, do those exist? And I go, well, you're fighting one, dude!
Why not? It makes sense to me, right? But returning to the question about the playing under the influence. So yeah, all depends on the crowd you're hanging out with.
But I'm continuing on with that. I just did it there. I get. Well, I've always been easily kind of distracted, but I'm even more easily distracted when I smoke good bud.
Which there is nothing wrong with that.
But so and I replied to this guy properly on the Reddit, and and that's the point I hit on, is that it's pros and cons. Amateurs who do not smoke a lot probably shouldn't. If you're sitting down with a guy who goes, yeah, I smoke 3 joints every game, it helps me relax, you don't have to smoke his joint.
Yeah.
You don't have to. That's an option. You can say, hey, dude, I put a fan on you, blow it out the window, step outside or something. Like, if you have the right to not want to be smoked on, because there is such thing as secondhand. It's nowhere near as potent, but if you hotbox the room, you'll get high. And well, you have Google, you'll figure that out. You have the alphabet, you'll figure that out.
Well, Google is still a brand. It's just
I know, I'm fucking with you.
And you know that we have to. We're on YouTube. We have to be police what the fuck we're saying, because if we're saying something wrongly, it's suddenly going to be you said this while it's actually this and this.
There's
and this.
No such thing as bad publicity. I mean, that's why Spoonie got famous. It wasn't because people liked him. It's because people hated what he had to say about Final Fantasy, and then people who did like him found him.
Yeah, he needs that first push, right? The creators need that first push. After that, it's downhill, or rather uphill. Anyway.
And on to drinking.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
Don't because here's the thing about drinking socially. You get stupid. You make bad decisions. Because when you're high, you think a lot. You go, should I do this? Should I do this? I think I should do this. Maybe what if I roll bad? What if I roll bad? Oh, God damn it. What if I roll high? Where when you're drinking, you're going, woo! Elf boobs, yeah! Woo! Dragon killing! Woo!
Leroy Jenkins!
Yeah, you do not make good decisions when you're drinking. And that is not to say that you make perfect decisions while smoking marijuana. It's just the differential in decision-making penalties is notable. Very notable.
There's also the risk when you're drunk that you're going to hit someone.
Angry drunks exist. Like, if you're an angry drunk, do not play D&D.
Yeah. Jerry has does like his whiskey a lot. However,
he's a happy drunk.
That. Yes, he's a very happy drunk. However, he tends to forget things
a lot.
Or once he has enough, he basically cuts off and goes to sleep. Right.
Right. He hits his limit. Then he logs out.
Then he passes out. Yeah. So if you don't want to go for a sleepover in your friend's house on your D&D,
if you absolutely insist on drinking while doing anything, do shots. Do a shot, fight a monster. Do a shot, fight a monster. There you go. By the 7th shot, you'll be done with the session. And hammered.
Yeah. So basically what my suggestion is, don't intoxicate yourself unless you really have to. But
if you have I would look, it's a social thing more than anything. D&D is, but same thing is with imbibing drugs. Is the thing about recreational drugs, it's more fun to take them with people, and so of course you might want to mix those two things. But it's all about, can you handle it? If you are joining a table and a guy's passing around a joint and you don't smoke pot, you probably shouldn't touch it.
Yeah. I'm basically coming at this from perspective of a person who is completely, at least in my to myself, alright? I don't smoke, I don't drink, and I don't use drugs. And I've been adamant about it, and I've never did it. And so it's, from my point of view, if you're
now keep
in any case, if you have any doubts, then don't.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, and keep in mind, this is going to be something that's going to happen no matter what group you run into, because I guarantee you, for every group of young guys drinking during their session, there's a group of 1E players that are old and arthritic and need pot to calm their nerves. Which, by the way, isn't a bad thing. It's just a medicine. That's how it works.
Yeah.
I mean, it... And that's kind of what I actually mean in that, is if there's this old guy going, oh yeah, this is my D&D joint, that's like pure hashish, you shouldn't touch it. Because you will see
I don't even know what that means, and I'm laughing.
It's a concentrate.
I see.
You know how whiskey it's absinthe is to beer.
I see. Or spirituals is to vodka.
Yeah.
Spirituals is, I believe, like 95%.
Yeah. It's the tough, it's the powerful stuff.
Yes. So yeah, I believe that's it for today.
Yeah, that is our self-incriminating talk show.
Yay! See you next week, or in 2 to 5 years for the next show.
Indeed. Indeed. Prison campaign. For real life.
I don't know. Would they let us to do a talk show from prison? Maybe.
You know, it's actually not that hard. If we bend over for the right person, they could like hook us up with smartphones and microphones, and we could probably do it.
I guess.
Either way, signing off.